Hey everybody, welcome into the Good Buddies Anime Podcast. I am your good buddy Roger.
And I am your good buddy Brandon.
And we're back for episode 19.
Don't call it a comeback.
Don't call it the comeback. But we coming back.
And I'll come on your back.
Yeah, we coming on back.
Oh no.
No.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Oh.
That's fucked up. I'm sorry.
Wow.
What's up? We got to restart?
Yeah.
Let's restart.
No.
We're fine. We're in the thing. Hey man,
you've heard
worse.
Good sequence
You've
of
heard
yes
worse.
and no's there. Can't wait to hear those back. So we're covering the second half of Flcl. We did miss a week last week, and that was because my stress levels were to the max.
We're so sorry.
I kind of had a sort of a situation, an emergency going on in my family.
We're so very sorry.
I did put out a video today, which is the 27th, I believe.
Yes, I saw that one.
So if you go to the Rapid Kick Media YouTube channel, you can see my update video on all of our...
Of course, for you, it was yesterday because you're probably listening to this tomorrow unless you're watching it on YouTube, in which case it was 2 days ago. Why even date ourselves, Roger?
Well,
Why even mention days?
I said the date that today was. So it went up today, which is the 27th, and it gives you a whole breakdown of all of our content and what we're looking to do forward from here.
Yeah, man.
And getting back to regular, which should start as of whenever you're hearing this. So
do the dang old thing.
I'll spare you all the details there. If you want to find them out, you can go to that YouTube video. It's the channel, the Rapid Kick Media channel update.
Point is, we ain't gone nowhere.
Yeah.
And we'll never go anywhere.
We just missed a week.
We love our good buddies.
We missed a week. My brain was bogged down. I did not think I could carry a conversation.
We were just saying this is going to be episode 19. It should have been episode 20, but really it's episode 21 because we've had a 0 and a bonus episode. Yeah. This is Blackjack.
Bonus.
We blackjacking.
Yep.
Anyway.
But he's also going to say that we blackjacking on the official 21.
Well, damn straight. I'm always blackjacking, baby. But Roger, tell me something.
What's up, buddy?
What have you been watching?
Dude, I finished Tina Matsuri.
Hell yeah, you did. Was it great?
Yes, I love that series a whole lot.
I'm going to have to make sure I watch that.
I hope they do some more with it. I really do. If they don't, it's still good in its own little shell, but I hope they do more with it. And I finally started that Darling in the Franxx.
I heard it starts good and it gets shitty.
I watched the first 5 and it was real good.
I heard it gets bad.
We'll see. I'll keep us informed because I'm not going to stop watching.
You let me know, man. I'll probably watch it eventually too. But
so far, so good. So they're like these robots, man,
and they run around like
and
cats.
The robots all like the
they're like ligers and shit.
No, there is one that's similar to liger.
I remember seeing a clip where the one's like running on all fours.
So the robots are piloted by a male and a female,
and the lady has to like bend over in front of him. Fuck you.
So okay,
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
Fuck
it's all like one big metaphor for sex. I don't know if there's any other meaning to it than that, but it totally is. And like whenever the little suit clicks in over the girl, they're like, it's like, what is going on here? The first time I saw it, I was like, what the hell is going on here? And I mean, there are things like there are compatibility issues. Or sometimes the guy, if he's with the wrong girl, he can't perform.
I hope you can hear my deep, disappointed sighs.
It's actually kind of cool the way they do it because these kids know nothing about that.
Oh, they're children that are doing the allegory for sex.
They're young teens.
Thank you.
But they have no idea what it is. At least most of them don't. And it is, so far, I mean, it's pretty great. And the robots are super cool.
I heard it gets bad. I heard it later on is not as good.
So before I started watching it, months ago,
Who am I kidding?
I saw this report where fans were rioting against it around the 13th or 14th episode. And there's a character in there named Ichigo. And they were referring to her as Bitchigo. And they were writing the dude that wrote, I don't know if he wrote it or directed it or what was going on. They were writing him like hate mail, severe hate mail, and sending him death threats and stuff over Bitchigo.
Hey, fuck you, buddy. That's fucked up.
So I'm excited to see what happens there. What could lead the weebs to revolt in such a nature?
I mean, it don't take much these days. Who are we kidding?
Yeah, everybody's a Star Wars fan these days.
Everybody's pissed off. You got your damn nerds, weebs, and your dweebs.
But so far on that anime, so good. It is pretty unique thus far. I will watch all the way through, and I'll keep giving you guys the verdict of everything. But that's all I've been so busy with the other stuff. I'm just now getting my life kind of back to normal. So I missed, I caught Hinamits. Oh, I watched the new episode of Full Metal Panic. It was awesome. But yeah, that's what I got. What have you been watching, dude? Anything good?
Not a whole hell of a lot.
Playing anything good?
Been following up on that Hanebado I told you about, the badminton anime. It's pretty fun. I'm still feeling it. It's pretty cool. They really slap them shuttlecocks around.
Yeah.
I've still been watching that Flip Flapper show.
Where do I go to get my shuttlecock slapped around?
Stop. Watched a couple more episodes of that Flip Flapper. Still not done with that one. I'm enjoying it. The art style is really cool with it. They every now and then they'll end up in this. It seems like every episode they take a trip to this kind of a wonderlandy kind of world, and all the colors are crazy looking. It's really fun to look at. And then, I don't know, it's just a good time. More on that when I finish it, I suppose. But, no, I haven't been watching a whole hell of a lot. I know you're bummed out that there was no new My Hero Academia this week.
Because they did there
was like a programming break in the regular, so they did that with the dub too.
Yeah.
And I was saying that I've been really, I can't click on any of my links because my little Google news stories, it keeps popping up stories about My Hero Academia, and one of them was like, big reveal about this mysterious traitor in the show, and I'm like, I can't click that. It made me real sad.
Yeah. So I was diving deep into some fan theories.
Some fan theories.
Before you told me that, and
tell me about it.
Now I have a different suspect in mind that it could be. What's her name? Do you want me to tell you the suspect?
I mean, tell me.
My suspect? It's Uchaka, dude.
Uchaka is...
She's the levitating girl.
The levitate? No.
Yeah. How do you say her full name?
I thought it was Araka or something.
It's Araka. Is it Uchaka? Araka? Yeah, it might be.
Names.
Araka sounds right.
Names and words.
MHA. Araka.
I saw a clip of that MHA video game, and it looked
it's
not
Ochako Araka.
Araka, okay.
Ochako.
No.
So.
No, not her. But she's so cool.
Yeah.
She got floaty
But
power.
have you ever noticed that there's never been any backstory on her at all?
I mean, there hasn't been any backstory on fucking Inviso Girl either. Or Naval Boy.
That's true. We
talking all that
we
shit.
Are
it's just because she's a slightly more main character.
We are gonna get some more on
just because of her proximity to Deco.
Mr. Naval Laser Boy.
Just because of her proximity to Deco, I feel like that's silly. Maybe
it's almost like they're putting him out there to be the traitor to give you the little bait and switch, dude.
Did you love that fucking episode where they looked through each other's rooms?
Yes, I did. I thought it was great.
You love Mineta because he's like, come on in, lady.
Nobody. I was curious, what is his room like? I want to see that grape juice room, dude. I want to see them sticky balls on the sticky walls.
Gross. I really enjoyed that episode. And then you had a little emotional bit with Froppy at the end. Oh, shit was cute. That was a good one. That was a good episode. All right. But no, beyond my shows I haven't been watching, I told you I finished. I was replaying Final Fantasy VII because it's on PlayStation 4, and I was like, I'm gonna platinum this shit, and I did. I was shocked that 1, they fixed some translation errors. 2, they missed a lot of other translation errors that they didn't fix. And 3, they left in, I told you about this, there's a bit where you're running up some stairs, or optionally running up some stairs, and you're running upstairs and Tifa and Barrett with you, and Barrett's like, I can't go anymore. Just go without me. And Tifa says, quit being a slur and keep running. She just straight up, it's all in text obviously, but she straight up calls him an artard. It's like, this is fucked up. I can't believe they left that in there, but all right. Anyway, beyond that, this isn't a Final Fantasy podcast, although we could definitely do one of those.
Yeah, we could. We definitely could.
Anyway, that's what we've been watching. Tell us what you've been watching in the comments, or send us a like or whatever. Sorry if I'm a little less not super enthusiastic. I got a little bit of a migraine running right now, so I'm trying to
Trying to keep it Brandon's trying to get his head out.
Trying to keep it smooth.
Trying to get his head out of his migraine.
My head out of my mind. That is where it goes. That is where they go. Anyway, what did we just watch though, and what are we talking about this week, my dude?
We're talking about the second half of Fooly Cooley Progressive. We already covered the first 3. Now we're gonna cover the last 3. 4, 5, and 6.
Let's do that shit.
So let's get straight into it.
Starting with episode 4.
Episode 4, okay, has a really weird title. It's Loopcure. It's LOO capital P capital Q capital R.
Loopcure.
Yeah. And the Japanese translation for it is Rai Ray, if anybody knows what that means.
Nope,
not me. Loopcure. All right. Tell us what it's all about.
Let's break it on down. This one was interesting because unlike every other episode, it doesn't start with one of those dream sequences. Apparently, because we know at the end of the last one, the friggin' lockdown went into effect on Hidomi's headphones. It appears that she has now switched places with Dream Hidomi, who's all happy and shit and is like down for dying and whatnot. Because she is just bouncing around, super happy. There's these little like bits where other characters are commenting on it. It's kind of done as a interview. So like you see this person, they're talking to the camera and it shows their name and age. Notably, Hidomi's mom's age is scratched out because a lady does not reveal her age. Haruko claims to be 16. No way. But yeah, everyone's talking about how nobody knows what's going on. There's a bit where Hidomi's running to the school and she passes what was either a bike or a scooter. I think it was a bike. And there's a cat on it that is literally just Naota's cat.
Yeah, it's Naota's cat with a big old
He's got that big old bell.
Balls, man.
Yeah, man. I don't know what that's about.
You never noticed they drew
No. He's got the big old nuts. Yeah. I've seen the big old nuts. Now
he's seen them big old nuts, man.
I will say this because I think this is interesting. We know for sure Haruko's not 16. In the last series, this is happening after the first Fooly Cooley series. In that one, she claimed to be 20, which Amuro and Naota both said was a lie. Amuro even says she was 20 when he was his age, when he was Naota's age, so she's for sure not 20. Perhaps she is an ageless alien. She's definitely some kind of alien. But here, I think it's interesting that her little thingy says 16, because there was one thing I was thinking, all right, well, what if, because we know her and Jinyu split, what if that was 16 years ago? So she's 16, quote unquote. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out timelines. I don't feel like that really matters in the scheme of things, but whatever. Point is, nobody knows what's going on with her. Jinyu says it's an emergency measure for medical mechanica. Personality is a weird side effect. And at the cafe, the Haruko, Jinyu, and Ide are going over a plan for how to, fix Hidomi, basically. While a choir behind them is singing Funiculi Funicula. You know that one? That pizza song?
Yeah. I heard the song.
That's what they're singing.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know the words other than that part. Funiculi, funicula, funiculi, funicula. A lot of people get sued about that because they're like, "Oh, this is like a traditional like Italian or Neapolitan song, right? I can just make this. I can just use this in something." Nah, son, it's copyright.
This is in the public domain, right?
It is absolutely not. It was made specifically. I looked it up. It was made specifically for like the opening of some kind of rail tram system that like went to the top of the mountain. That's what the song's about. Going to the top of the mountain.
Going to the top of taking somebody
on top of spaghetti.
Somebody going to Space Mountain.
Yeah, man.
Where's that Ric Flair at?
Foolish. Woo. Anyway. But yeah, they're going over this plan. Ide's trying to get Haruko to help. Haruko doesn't want to help. Jinyu says they have to go to Mechanica. Then we see Marco, friend from school. He's running to work, turns a corner, slams right into Hidomi, who is drawing on a shop window. And he like has a moment like watching her for a second because he's like really into Happy Hidomi. He actually thinks he's the only one who isn't weirded out by her. And he's like, he's kind of cute. It's like, oh, Marco, you're adorable. It's not gonna happen. Anyway, he gets to his job at the park, which is getting a new attraction, a Viking ship. Aiko is there doing one of her rent-a-dates and finishes that up. And Marco's there for a ship. The old dude is there, who we find out is named Mr. Tonkichi, wearing a mascot outfit. He is Mr. Dodo, and it's adorable. Don't you love Mr. Dodo? Mm-hmm. All right. We cut to Eye Patch Dude and Hat Dude, who is Masurao. I think I mentioned that before. That's his name. I don't think they ever actually call him that, but that is his name.
Yeah.
And he's arguing with him about, hey, you lost the flower pot. Where's the flower pot? Oh, no, find the flower pot.
How do you lose something as big as a flower pot?
It's a great question. They also mentioned that it was that thing was made from pieces of this thing, and they're pointing at Conti. So apparently they like repurposed him. And he's got
like this Evangelion like crucifixion thing going on.
He's like strapped up to a crown. It's really weird.
It looks like Lilith from Evangelion.
Yeah, like it's literally fucking Ava shit. All right, that's weird. It's weird, but I guess, yeah. Mm-hmm. But Aiko comes home, hears them talking about something about reversing the flow of NO. And as she walks into the room real quick transforms again. Conti like falls off and like slams onto the little side table because he's the TV, and everything looks relatively normal. And Eye Patch tries to give her some amusement park tickets, and she doesn't want them. Mentions the Viking ship. They just got a new Viking ship thing at the amusement park, and they both freak out. They're like, it was already installed. Like, we gotta hurry. Like, something's going on. Obviously, it's something with their plans and their functionality. I don't know, man. These guys are weird. Back at the park, Marco is strapped into the Viking ship ride and is getting ready to test it. Which we see in a minute, and holy shit, does he test the fuck out of it. Hidomi's still skipping around, bemusing about dreams. She's talking about, I was in a dream, but now the dream's reality and all this stuff. And like, she's saying really weird shit when she's happy Hidomi. She's bouncing around being weird.
She's so happy, too.
She's so fucking happy. It's adorable. You love that she's so happy for once. But yeah, we then see as she's skipping around, we see Jinyu, Haruko, and Ide in Jinyu's car, like kind of shadowing her, and they cut back to them going over their plan before they actually enact it, saying the idea is that they have to destroy the receptor and the transmission source at the same time, one of which is inside medical mechanical, the other which is obviously the headphones. So they need to try and break them both at once. The headphones are receiving this bizarre radio wave. Jinyu says Haruko is to destroy the outer antenna. Jinyu is going to go inside with Hidomi and destroy the outside, the inner antenna or whatever. And we see the three of them in that car. They fly up, and Marco's like, what am I going to do? And that's when you see them driving up, and he's just hanging out of the side of the car. He looks kind of cool. He's got they've all got trench coats on. He actually looks cool for once. He looks like a Lupin character. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, Hidomi, and just snatches her, and the car flies off like while he's grabbing her out of the freaking... When I said Hidomi, I sounded like goddamn Inuyasha. Kagome, Hidomi! Anyway.
Oh, no.
He spends a lot of time screaming Hidomi. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of time screaming Hidomi in this thing. But yeah, they end up snatching her, and the car flies off toward the medical mechanic building. At the park, Marco's on this fucking ride. Tonkichi, Mr. Dodo, flips a switch, and this thing, the ship, the seats in the... It's like one of those... they say Viking ship. It's like one of those pirate ship rides. Just rocks back and forth. It's a big boat. Mm-hmm. And the thing flips upside down so that now he's on the underside of it.
People sleep on the Viking ship, man. You ever been on one of those?
Hell no. I mean, I've been on one of those. You said sleep on it?
Yeah, man, they sleep on it, dude. Like they think it's a less cool ride.
I mean...
But it's a pretty cool ride.
It's all right.
If you get the right ones, man.
It's just a big-ass swing. Ain't nothing wrong with a big-ass swing.
Yeah. But, if you get the ones that go way up and you're on the front,
I mean, I've been on the one that goes way up, and that freaked me out a little bit because it went way, way up. I've seen ones, and they're definitely not the ones I would have been on because everybody would have fell out that bitch. But I've seen ones that like go all the way upside down and shit, mm-hmm. and I'm like, no way.
See, that's why I like the Viking ship, because it doesn't go all the way upside down. And I just know I like theme parks and I like fun rides and stuff, but mm-hmm. I just know that my fat ass is gonna slip right out of that thing. Yeah. I got a lot of
real dead.
I got a lot of gravity going against me. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. No, Roger, no. But yeah, he flips a switch. The seats flip. He's on the underside, and he's like, boom, like his head, this helmet thing he's wearing is like jamming through those big roller things that are making it go back and forth. It looks not fun.
Yeah.
Back at the Big Iron, which is the medical mechanica building, Jinyu and Haruko are arguing about how they're going to get in. Hidomi finds the potted plant in the back of the car and throws it in the air and screams something because she's so happy. She's like, yay! And it flies into the air. Falls back down, smashes into Ide's head. His head glows. A portal opens. Jinyu tells, and as Jinyu and Haruko are arguing, this portal opens. Right when you hear Jinyu say her last little bit, she says something about it doesn't want you. Don't you get it? And shoom, they both get sucked into this head, and then immediately cut back to Masaru, and Eye Patch. They're packing up Kanti. What's left of him, I guess, and they talk for a little bit about him being some kind of shell. He actually says the owner of the shell isn't a living creature, more like he's something between a living creature and a planet. And the other guy's like, big planet. And it's like, what is this conversation even happening? I don't know, but something about Kanti being, something that he's dead now. He's just a dead shell. And how whatever was in him was something extremely powerful. Well, we know it was Atomisk when he was in there. But yeah, the computer beeps. The flower pot is apparently moving, and they mention again that it's flowing in reverse. It's a reverse flow. That's what that portal that sucked them in was. So here's the thing. So that makes sense to me because originally, like in the first series and in this one, that shit coming out of their heads, the robots and whatnot, are robots from medical mechanica. So it makes sense that that's the regular way. When it reverses, now Jinyu and Haruko just got sucked in, so they are now in medical mechanica, which is where stuff comes from. What I don't get is that in the first series, those robots came out and they had a purpose, which was to get to the iron and activate it or whatever. Which is why the iron was always freaking out. That last one in the first Fooly Cooly one was a giant hand that actually managed to get there eventually. Mm-hmm. But these ones, they don't appear to have any purpose. They don't do it. They just kind of show up and do shit. One of them even listens to Ide when he tells it to go attack Haruko. That's weird. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's whatever. Yeah, I'm comparing them again. I know I'm being a bitter asshole who just liked the original one better, but you know what? Yeah. I am a bitter asshole. Sorry.
And his asshole is bitter. Don't ask me. I heard from a friend.
Don't lie to him. Anyway, but yeah, reverse flow. Back at the iron, Ide is asking Hidome if she's always going to be so hyper. And Hidomi, kind of a little bit more chilled out than she has been, just says, I've always been like this. And the car starts moving again with both of them in it. Cut back to Jinyu and Haruko, who are inside the iron now. Jinyu is following Haruko up this flight of stairs. And Jinyu's telling her, I didn't write down everything, but she says, you don't get it. He needs his freedom. And Haruko's refusing to listen to any of this. And Jinyu says, you need to join me, Raharu. You're me after all. And that's when Haruko finally stops and turns and looks all pissed off at her. And she says something like, all right, then fine. And Jinyu for a second is like, oh, she's listening. And then Haruko says, I am gonna devour you. And she's got her goggles on and she looks pissed. She looks real mad. So the car with them in it lands on top of the iron. Hidomi muses for a little bit. She gets out of the car. She's walking, and she's again, very in a happy sing-songy way, talking about this depressing shit about how she doesn't have a father, she doesn't really have a mother, and she says that if everything were destroyed, then we can start over. And she's it's her, that's her she was so happy about everything being wiped away and destroyed in dreams and whatnot. So this is that in the real world now. And it's a bit of a bummer. Hidomi holds her headphones and talks about how she doesn't want to hear the crying anymore. Says that's why these things are perfect. And she's just holding them over her ears. Again, blocking out the noises. Cutting the whole world out, as Jinyu said earlier. inside the iron. Inside Metal Mechanica, Haruko is attacking Jinyu. They are flying through this big is like a big dome kind of thing. They fly in toward the center of this dome through one of the walls toward what appears to be like a brain sitting on like top of a brain stem. Well, that's the thing. It looks like a brain. It kind of looks like balls. I get it.
There's also like there's like a spinal column running down too.
Yeah, it's like spinal column brain thing. It's a lot. There's a lot of symbolism there, as there has been through the whole series, which might be the transmitter, I guess, and it must be because Haruka like throws Jinyu into it, slams her, and then the thing, blows up. And as soon as it does, the sirens start wailing, and Hidomi falls in pain. She's still on top of the iron or whatever. At the park, Marco is straight up spinning around like full 360s in this thing. He is going all the way around, and the helmet that he's wearing starts to crack on top of his head, like it's breaking apart. Hidomi, now back of the iron, is just screaming, and she starts like. The lockdown goes off, the headphones fall off, and she starts saying, I'm going to overflow. Ide asks what I would ask, what the fuck does that mean? And a blue hand shoots out of her hand, and she starts floating.
Blue hand shoots out of her hand?
Shoots out of her head, sorry. And she's like floating in the air as this is happening. She's like floating off the ground. Blue arm shoots out of her head. And she says, wait, I wrote this down. Blue hand shoots out of her head, and she says, the world is turning inside out. I'm floating around in ecstasy, so You don't like that one?
I don't know that one.
That's fucking... You know that one.
Do I?
It's Don't Stop Me Now, Queen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's the line. And the world is turning inside out.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Now I got you. Now
you know what? It wasn't my best.
Now I'm still on now I'm on the same Inno channel as you.
Dumb. You're just stuck on last episode where we kept talking about fucking Fall Out Boy and shit. That's what it is. Anyway,
where is your boy?
While this is happening though, we get some interesting flashbacks. We see this is one that I always thought was interesting because I know Haruko throughout the whole series, in the last series as well, she has this metal bracelet that has this what looks like a big square link of a chain on it, and whenever it rattles, whenever it starts moving, it's reacting to energy. Specifically, it points toward Atomisk, which is why like later on in the series when like he actually shows up, and then like the very last thing you see of Atomisk in the first series leaving is there's a big ass red flying bird in the sky, this big phoenix thing, and it zips away and it's gone, and you see her hand reaching toward the sky with that little link on it going like reaching for it, and then it just kind of falls away because he's too far now. He's gone.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting. And then there's this very quick like blink and you'll miss it flash. You see Haruko's wrist and Atomisk, who on his beak has the under and that has another one of those chain links, and there's a chain between them and it breaks. Like that was when she had him or whatever, which is pretty interesting. Like that whole chain just shatters, and he's getting away, I guess.
The damn barking dog.
Oh, dude. You'll be fine. The arm now forces its way completely out of her head. Jinyu is. And it's Jinyu. It's she's like waist deep in Hidomi's head, like she's pulling herself out, when a red arm flies out of Hidomi's head and grabs her and is trying to pull her back, and like Jinyu glowing blue and Haruko glowing red both emerge out of Hidomi's head, and they fly out and they start like just beating the shit out of each other, flying around, just ping ping ping, bouncing off each other as they zip and zoom around. Hidomi she's still floating, and then like after this happens, she just falls and like lands in the back of the car. Marco on that ride is screaming. He remembers bumping into Hidomi, and you actually see it from another angle now. When he bumped into her, his head hit her head, so it looked like there was some transference there, kind of like in the first series. Nata did that with Nina Mori, I think her name was, which is probably my favorite episode of that show anyway. But yeah, he's screaming, and you see this light glowing on his head after the what do you call the helmet fully breaks off of him, and this goofy little horn pops out of his head, and as he spins around and like is, about to skim the ground again, it catches in the cement, and it ends up like flinging him off of this ride. It just flies toward the freaking medical mechanical building, and he's just flung toward it, and he lands in front of it, and what appears to be a big ass palm tree.
It's a bamboo shoot.
Like a bamboo shoot. Just shoots out of his head, lifts the iron off the ground, so it is like going upward, and a little robot forms that starts climbing up it it's a little like wheelie thing that's like going up the tree.
It's a bamboo shoot that shoots, man.
What the fuck is that? What is any of that? I don't know. I
can't tell you, dude. I know it's a bamboo shoot though.
All right.
Anyway. I wasn't saying that I wasn't calling you out for saying it's a palm tree. All I was saying is that it was a bamboo shoot.
Just gonna pull up this episode because I remember palm tree, and you know what? Let's fucking duke it out, bud.
Okay.
It's probably about right. Now that right there looks an awful lot more like a palm tree than a bamboo shoot to me.
Okay, let's see. Bamboo shoot.
This is great radio, I know.
It is. We're debating.
Anyway.
Here you go,
who
buddy.
Who gives a shit? It's some kind of tree thing.
That's a bamboo shoot.
You're a bamboo shoot. Okay, once the thing's on it, yeah, that's for sure a bamboo shoot. What are we looking at?
Bamboo shoots.
Yeah, all right. Like, once it's up here, I'm like, okay, for sure. I can see the little green segmented bits. What the fuck is this robot, too? Like, what the goddamn... All right. I'm becoming more and more bitter. Anyway. Fucking bamboo shoot thing. Flies up. Robots climb the tree. Car is, because the iron is now being tipped up, rolling toward the edge. Ide is running after it. The tree bot is shooting missiles at Haruko and Jinyu. Good lord. Marasua and Eyepatch see the fight from way back there, and they're like, is that the Pirate King? No, but this power is what? And like, Ide is jumping, running after the car. He manages to grab it, and he's like, hey, and he sees Hidomi wakes up for a second, and he says, hey, you're awake, and then like slams into a freaking pole because he's not watching where he's running, just bashes his own brains in, keeps running after the car, jumps off the building after the car. As the car is falling down, he is like swimming through the air trying to get to this car.
With his fingers.
She grabs him and pulls him into the car. Oh my god. Jinyu, still fighting Haruko, like flies back and grabs the car before it hits the ground, and she is holding it. She's like flying with it. You hear Haruko scream, you better not let your guard down, and she hits the shit out of Jinyu. There is a lot going on here, and that's why I'm doing it quick. And she throws the car, she takes the car, throws it at the tree bot, big explosion. But Jinyu manages to grab it, and she's holding it as the smoke clears. She's also got like what appears to be a firecracker or something hanging out of her mouth, like she's holding it
it's like a sparkler.
It's like a sparkler. She's holding in her.
I imagine that it had something to do with the firework analogy that they keep going with.
Yeah, so that comes back in the last episode too. But the iron starts falling back down. It has been tipped up. It starts to tip back down, but Haruko attacks, smashes the fuck out of Jinyu. And you just see Jinyu go like that, and like the sparkler fall out of her mouth, and you get the wide shot. She has knocked a hole clean through Jinyu. Boom! Another huge explosion. The plant stands completely up, like if you're taking a pause through your iron, you set it down like on its back base. And yeah, at this point, it kind of resembles a tombstone even. And Ide and Hidomi and the car hit the ground. And when they get up and they look, they see Haruko is holding a lifeless Jinyu. And they have a brief conversation here. And Jinyu says, she says something like, I just wanted him to have his freedom. And, no, she says, I just wanted him to have his freedom. I love him.
If you love it, you gotta let it go, baby.
If you love me, let me go. All right. Haruko says, you don't get it. Everything has always been his. his shackles, his freedom. There isn't anything in this world that doesn't belong to him. Nothing. And Haruko stands there for a second looking at her. She says, well, that settles it. So we're not the same after all. And Jinyu says, I guess so. And Haruko says something like, it's okay, we can finally be together now. Which seems really nice until she then turns into this monster, vaguely bee-like monster. It actually, like, you could, if you pause it, you can see it like has like 6 or so legs.
Yeah.
It's got like a little stinger on the back of it. It looks like it might have tiny little wings. And this thing has a giant head that just chompity chomps on Jinyu.
So, you know, a lot of people have speculated that could be her true form because it looks like a wasp, kind of.
She's a Vespa woman. Yeah,
the Vespa woman. There you go.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But, she straight up chomps on Jinyu. Jinyu's gone, has been consumed by Haruko. Her glasses are flying through the air, and Haruko grabs them, slips them on. Her hair is pink again.
Yep, her hair is back normal. That's why I said at the beginning the thing about the orange hair. Her hair turns pink when she consumes Jinyu.
Yep. She laughs, and she has some line, and she says, she jumps on top of the car and holds her hand out to Hidomi. She says, now why don't you come with me too? And Hidomi finds the headphones laying in the dirt and puts them on. Marco wakes up nearby and looks and sees Hidomi and Ide, and he's like, oh man. I'm like, Marco, chill out. And Hidomi says, I understand now. I know what you want, and that's why I won't go with you. And that's that episode.
She wants his power. Who wants that power, baby?
I mean,
do you know where the power lies?
I will show you where the treasure's buried.
Oh, man, I would love to see where the treasure's buried, buddy.
You're the worst.
Where's it at? Show me that treasure.
But that's that episode. That was episode 4. We're on to episode 5 now.
That was a really fun episode, too.
I liked it a lot. That's the one that, so if you, I know we both said this when we first watched it, when we first talked about it after we watched it, and I've seen, like, pretty much every single comment and or review I've seen about this show says that, yeah, this is the most FLCL episode, the most Fooly Cooley, it's the most like the original series, which, yeah.
And then episode 5 takes a departure from that, though.
Yeah, and
to some levels.
Let's say this first. You didn't like this one the first time around. I was a little meh about it. I said that it was your least favorite.
Yeah,
not that you didn't like it, but it was your least favorite. Yeah, it was my least favorite
Fooly Cooley episode of them all. However, I did still appreciate it, and I liked it, I would say. But upon the second watch, I liked it more. And also, I want to take a note. And I said that, and I had been complaining the whole time, like, they need to turn the music up. They
crank it in this one.
And this is the only episode where they truly crank that damn music. And it is freaking glorious. I really loved it. I don't know, maybe I didn't have the TV loud enough the first time I watched it, but
I told you what it was, is they were listening to our podcast. They heard you complain about the music being too low, and they're like, well, let's turn it on up. And they cranked it on up for you. But then you got on the next day and said, man, I didn't like this episode. This is my least favorite. Yeah, and they were like, well, shit, turn it back down, man.
Turn the music down. But,
foolish.
Yeah, so this episode's all over the place. I'll let you take it away.
It's pretty wild. This is episode 5.
Fool on the Planet.
Fool on the Planet, which I believe is actually the name of a album by the Pillows, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think it is.
The Japanese one for it is Fura Pura.
Or it's either name one of their albums or name one of their songs. I don't remember.
Hoorah!
Hoorah! All right.
You get that hoorah.
Here we go. So this one has, for sure, my favorite opening sequence of the bunch. There is not a whole lot going on there, but it is beautiful. It goes from like this looks like charcoal painting. Yeah, this black and white, this very stark black and white. We see what appears to be Hidomi walking through a wasteland. She's finding like bits of glass and debris and whatnot and laying them down in a vaguely human shape. And then this smoke from one of the metal mechanical irons just billows around her, which leads into one of the prettiest shots of the whole thing. It's this beautiful like full color watercolor. It's like watercolor painting of her like laying in this water. Just it's very serene. It's very really pretty, and it is. I mean, it seems like I'm describing it like it's a painting and like it's just a still image, but it is like moving. It is animated. It's so so pretty. It's very, very cool. Yeah, she's floating in some water. And then the next thing you see is like her running happily down this beach before she finally wakes up. And this whole episode, like we said before, has like the art style is very different. It's very sketchy. You can see all the sketch lines and whatnot. You compared it to Megalobox. I don't
sort of like that, but
kind
of,
but like but like this one's like even more like
it's super sketchy.
It's like even more broke down.
It's kind of like a lot of it is
it's just very rough, and I like it a lot.
It's like a pre-animation almost, like like back when they did cells and stuff like that. It looks very sketchy and pre-animation, like something that you would see before the final polished product.
Yeah, very much so.
A whole lot of this episode has shots like that in it.
Yeah,
too.
I liked the animation of this one a lot. There's a bits like I said in the episode. I said before when we talked about it briefly. There's a couple.
Sorry, I wasn't watching a video or anything.
What was that, buddy?
It was
advertisement.
Yeah, it was an
loading up somebody's website.
Yeah. Let's see what this hour. Stand Against Evil Season 3.
Don't give them no shout-outs. They ain't paying us.
Okay.
Stand
Against Evil. I did not see your ad.
That's, what's that fool's name? I forget. But is it Glass? Todd Glass? It's not Glass. It's the other guy. But as a comedian does that show, he's very funny. I forget his name. So obviously he's not that funny.
Yeah. Sucks. Hate it.
But yeah, this one, yeah, this after that little intro, we see Haruko. She's on top of the roller coaster at the amusement park. She is surrounded by tools and whatnot. She's looks like she's been working on something. And you also see that she has this very distended stomach. She appears to be pregnant. It's probably just a food baby since she just ate a fucking person. And she like pushes her tummy.
I just thought it was just Jinyu.
Yeah, that's what I've. Yeah. It looks kind of weird, but like particularly in a second, it seems like it's we'll get there. But she pushes her stomach in and it like pops in, but then just pops back out. And she then she's like kind of sitting there for a second and her bracelet clinks a little bit, does a little ding, 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 and she's like, huh? And she looks up, but all she sees is clouds. We then see Eye Patch and Masurao. If I'm saying that right, I'm probably not saying it right. But they have what's left of Conti in a truck. They're driving through all this fog and whatnot, and they arrive at an immigration center orbital elevator in Uzu City. Of course, we know that in the previous series, Amuro and Kitsurobami and them worked for this intergalactic immigration thing, which it appears to be this is what that is. But they're basically just like, it's kind of like a dump where you throw stuff and then it like ends up on this like immigration orbit thingy, which is what they do. The gate guy actually handles Conti's head for a second, and for just that long, it flashes that Adamus symbol, like it's still got some power in it. But back in school, Mori is trying to get Ide to go to the amusement park with them. He says there's a 99% discount for couples. How's a 99% discount even work? Just say free. Haruko rides in on her Vespa, announces that she's getting married and retiring, plans on becoming she met someone, she got married, and she's planning on being a housewife. And is this moment where when she says that she's gotten married, that you see her for a second in a wedding dress, and she's got that big belly, and it looks like she's trying to, like, she's making the implication that she's already pregnant, is like what's going on there. And I'm like, all right, that's something. But yeah, she says that she goes on about meeting her hubby at the amusement park. The sketch that she shows them, it's all crayon drawings, of course, and of course all the kids are all hypnotized, so they see whatever she wants them to see. And the sketch that she draws is literally her in a wedding dress and a Birdman in a tuxedo. She's saying she married Adamus, which is adorable. But yeah, she then says that since she's retiring and everything, she wants the kids to skip class and go to the amusement park as well. And everybody bells except for Hidomi, who of course stays seated, unfazed. Ide is also nonplussed about all this, and he says, "Hey, you and I need to talk." And he has a guitar case, which of course we find out has Jinyu's guitar in it. So They meet up at this big empty pool. Haruko is in a swimsuit with a jacket on. Still got that big old belly. And she's making fun of him and she's wiggling her toes at him. And like I said before, this is a straight up fetish episode.
Yeah.
And somebody had a good time with this one.
Yeah, those little Haruko feet.
You got your little footsies. You got your pregnancy thing. Yeah, hell yeah. Somebody had a good old time with this episode. But yeah, she's making fun of him and he's basically telling him, hey, he's brandishing Jinyu's guitar and telling her to leave Hibajiri alone. And again, she's just mocking him and whatnot. And he starts swinging at her and she is just effortlessly blocking and dodging and everything. He does manage to get one hit on her though. He like smacks her in the chin and her head goes up, which is a pretty good one. Hibajiri, still sitting in class, hears something outside. So she's still just sitting there for the time being though. Ide continues to fight in vain. Haruko trips him and then straddles him. Mm-hmm. She's just literally on top of him. And man, somebody had a lot of fun with this episode.
She does make a comment too.
Somebody was just cranking that hog.
Yeah, cranking it, man.
She says she's disappointed in him.
Yeah, this is why I taught you all of these things or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So remember the teacher stayed the night at his house in the first episode or whatever.
Well, the whole time that he was trying to attack her, she keeps like giving him tips on using the guitar. It's like, hips in, come on, keep your head straight, blah, blah, blah. Like, it seems like maybe she was trying to like show him how to like fight or like do the shit that she does. It obviously didn't take. Like, maybe that's it, but I don't know. She does say something about all these things I taught you and whatnot. As she's like, as she's straddling him, you gotta
swing your own bat.
Yeah, as she's straddling him and running her finger down his chest and shit. It's like, wow, somebody just busted a big old nut on this episode. I'm sorry.
That's the noise that it makes.
That is not the noise. Shoot your goo, my dude. Gross. All right. But yeah, she says she's disappointed. And he says, well, you know, I'm disappointed too. And she's like, huh? And he looks at her very, like, angrily and, like, cockily, like he knows this is going to piss her off. And he says, you don't satisfy me. And it does piss her off.
Yeah.
Like, she is upset by that. We cut to Hadomi, who is running through the hallway and runs out a door and gets on the roof and slowly approaches the edge of this pool to find them in this very compromising position. And she's like, what? She's like shocked by what she's seeing. It's too much for her. And her head spawns a little black hole that sucks Ide's soul into it.
Yeah.
Like this little... he just kind of, and he's gone, but all that's left is like this kind outline, of a rubber.
Like his shadow. I think it's like his shadow.
Yeah, it's like a shadow. Or it's like a rubber husk. Yeah. That's what's left of him with a little we've seen before I think in last episode he has these little, they look, I mean, I guess they're headphones, they look like tiny little speakers hanging out of his shirt pocket, and they're still like attached to this like husk thing, but that's all that's left of him. And yeah, it's just a flat rubbery husk is what I wrote down. It looks like a deflated balloon or something. It's a blow up doll and he doesn't have any air. All right. Little speakers hanging out over the heart of it. Meanwhile, we cut back to the kids. The whole class has arrived at the park, and the Mr. Dodo or whoever it is, Mr. Tonkichi, I think, is announcing that there's 99% off for all couples, and the kids are all like, yay! And they all just start pairing off so that they're all in couples, and they all get inside. Mori is the only one left alone, and he's texting Aiko, and like, where are you? And like, ugly crying. It's really funny. But then... inside the park, we get probably my favorite scene of the whole thing, I'll be honest. It's just very brief. It has nothing to do with anything, but it's a very goofy romantic scene that plays.
Okay, I want to talk about this scene because that art style in particular is like it's like dating sim. That's what it was made to look like, was a dating sim.
Yeah, it's like the is it shoujo? Is that the shoujo anime or whatever? Is that the word I'm looking for, where it's all like the romancy shit? I don't know, but it's like one of those, and it does look very much like the art style is very...
It's like too clean and too flat.
Very flat, yeah. And it looks a lot like a dating sim or whatever. But yeah, it's it's pretty goofy, but there's a brief scene there between Misaki, who is a young girl, and Wataru, who is a boy, and she's like, I just don't understand why. What's going on with us? And Wataru professes his love and says, no, you don't understand. I love you. And right then, as she's like, oh my God, Wataru, Yuya, another boy, pops out of a bush nearby and says, but I love you too. And they run toward each other. Like they're about to fight. Wataru, who just sees you, he's like, Yuya, what are you doing here? And like they run at each other. The girl, Misaki, says, please stop fighting over little old me. And right as they meet, and it looks like they're about to punch each other, instead they wrap around each other in a big spiral. If you've ever read here we go. If you've ever read the entirety of the Uzumaki story by freaking Junji Ito, they pull one of those from the end of that series, and they have a big old hug, like the two dudes. Like it turns out they're the couple. It's pretty great. And then all three of their heads glow because they're building up that energy, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's pretty ridiculous. It has nothing to do with anything. I loved that.
Yeah, it was good.
It was pretty great. Tonkichi, Mr. Tonkichi, is watching all this through a camera. Aihatch and Masurao are clicking through a series of secret links on the website of this freaking thing in order to access a secret call with Mr. Dodo, the mascot, who is, of course, Mr. Tonkichi, who drops his goofy Mr. Dodo attitude, and they discuss the plan. He's asking about the flower pot. Where's the flower pot? He's like, don't worry about it. I'll have it when it's ready. It's like, blah, blah, blah. And he keeps having to cut away to, like, talk to kids behind him, like, hey, it's Mr. Dodo, like, so they don't see him having this very surreptitious conversation. Aiko, meanwhile, is hearing a bit of this outside the door, but she just goes up to her room and she's stashing away money in a jack-o'-lantern that she has. All of her, like, rent-a-date money she's just storing in there, apparently just saving up. Hidomi, we cut back to her, and she is scooped up what's left of Ide, this rubbery husk. And the speakers, you can hear him talking through them. She hears him saying, I'm so thirsty, water, or something like that. And she carries him over to a shower, one of the pool showers, and just stands under it holding this rubbery husk while the water runs over her. And then we get a brief manga scene where she says something like, I don't want to remember what happened this morning. And it's kind of like in the original series, you had those manga scenes, but this one's way more like clean and serious because it's like not a goofy scene like those were in the original Fooly Cooly. It's a very emotional bit where like it's her and her mom, mm-hmm. and her mom is apparently unpacking some new plates. She says she thinks Jinyu ordered them as recompense because she had broken so many of them, and mom says that Hidomi's acting different, and she doesn't really understand what she means by that. She's like, what do you mean? I'm back to normal. She says, no, you're different. And Hidomi then sees mom packing things up. And mom's asking about Ide and, oh, you can't hide anything from me. How's that boy of yours? And Hidomi just cuts her off like, what are you doing? She's pissed off in this scene. It seems that mom is apparently closing up the cafe. And Hidomi's like freaked out by that. She doesn't understand what's going on. And mom says, well... No, Hidomi says, I thought you were going to stay and wait until dad comes home. And mom just says back, I think it's time to stop. And it was obviously like a pretty serious thing between them. We get a little bit more of that in the next episode. But back in the shower, that rubbery husk inflates and just... And all of a sudden, it's like a balloon. She blew up the blow-up doll. Or the water did, I guess. And it starts to float away. And Hidomi just watches it floating up and up, higher and higher and higher until she can't even see it anymore. And then her head blinks and starts glowing, and all of a sudden, everything from around her just starts sucking into her head, which is a similar thing we saw before when she turned into that little robot. But then we cut away before we see what happens next. At the park, Mr. Dodo is says that he's talking to all the kids who were there. None of them are listening, of course, but he says, he says something like, all you kids who don't even have your hair down there or something. He says, you're all useless. And a group of these soldier-esque workers blast them with these lasers that instead of shooting them, they are pulling power from them out of their head specifically. They appear to be harvesting these kids for their NO energy or whatever. Fills up these meters for all these rides, which then like start flying up and combining Voltron style with the big castle that is the main centerpiece of the park, and forming this large like mech castle robot thing. And Haruko's watching from nearby on the ground. She's watching with amusement as all this is happening. And the robot forms and then fires at the big medical mechanica building. And one of the workers is like, it doesn't seem like there's going to be enough power, sir. It's like, well, there has to be. We don't get another chance or something like that. And this thing fires at the medical mechanical building. It's a bunch of rockets, which blow up and leave like a vaguely smiley face of a scar on the thing.
Yeah,
but then it just
it does very much look like a face.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the Blink-182 face.
Kind of, yeah.
That smiley face, that like Stitch face smiley face. Anyway, the thing like
immediately from the best album too.
Wow, the thing just like immediately reforms and then fires a big ass laser.
Fell short this time. Your smile fades in the summer.
All right, this is the worst. But yeah, we see the medical mechanical building like heal itself back to a mirror sheen, and then from a big circle that's on it. On the bottom of it, which is now, the side of it since it's standing upright, it fires this big laser right back at it. And
charging the lasers.
The battle appears to be commencing. Ide's husk floats into the stratosphere where it is pocketed by the ICC Lost and Found Satellite Storage, which is apparently where that orbital elevator had sent the rest of Conti, because we see him in a second. And it like this big arm grabs Ide's like rubbery husk, throws it inside, and it floats down a series of long, cool looking tubes until it ends up with a bunch of other space trash and debris dropped into this big container. So into a big bin with metal and debris and whatnot. And an old woman opens the door nearby to find a dog-like Conti head.
And it is adorable.
It is adorable. Who's a good boy? Who's your good boy? And she scoops out some of this debris, which she ends up grabbing Ide's husk with it and feeds it to the TV head dog because, oh, you hungry there, boy? And she sits it down, and back on the floor, on the ground, Haruko's watching this fight break out between Medical Mechanica and the amusement park. But then she stops when she sees a semi-roboticized Hidomi approaching, and she's like, damn, you're looking good, because she likes that freaky shit. She likes it when Hidomi's a robot or whatever. And also Haruko doesn't have the belly no more. She appears to have either processed, possibly passed, possibly has passed Jinyu that she ate.
One of those BMs,
had to take a little poopy scoop, had a doozy of a toozy.
Took a little Dugalux, man, just slid right out.
The worst. No, I think she just like finished digesting her or whatever, but she ain't in there. Her stomach's back to normal. Hidomi, Haruko's making these flirty comments at Hidomi, but Hidomi just isn't even paying attention. She just attacks her. She's like throwing this. She's got this arm that like is roboticized, and she does like this, and like what appears to be a bunch of speakers are like flying at Haruko, like she's attacking her and shit. And Haruko's just dodging everything, and she like jumps on her on the guitar, which we should point out wasn't her guitar from the first series. Remember?
Yeah, her first guitar is a Rickenbacker.
Yeah, which was it was like a blue bass.
This is half of Naota's guitar, his double neck guitar.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
I think we said that in the first.
We definitely talked about it, but I don't remember if we mentioned it full on.
Yes, her first guitar is the Rickenbacker.
But that was the thing. The double guitar was half Naota's and half Atomisk's. Mm-hmm. And I think this half isn't it Atomisk's? The one that she's got?
I would assume it had to be, because I think in the credits you can see Naoto with the guitar.
Yeah, like the second to last episode is when on the original series is when they're fighting, and Conti like grabs that laser out of his head and pulls out the guitar, which I believe is this one, and they say they all in unison, Haruko and Amuro are both like, that's a blah blah this series. I don't know names of guitars, but that she says that's Atomisk's guitar. And so that's the one she's using now. Okay. And then it ends up, in the final episode, they end up fusing into the double guitar because Naota had the power.
In the first season, Naota, his first guitar, his first bat or whatever.
It was a Flying V, right?
A Flying V, yes. Yeah. Which is a 6-string guitar. Mm-hmm. So whenever he does the double neck SG pretty much, and the the bass breaks off or whatever, he still has a 6-string guitar. Mm-hmm. So yes, the bass would go into Haruko. That would be Adamus, yes.
But yeah,
I think that makes sense. If that makes sense.
I only bring that up because I missed the last episode. She gets her guitar back, and I completely missed that the first time around when I watched this. But
and it was good to see the Rickenbacker.
Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, she's surfing on her guitar up this freaking up the roller coaster, getting away from Hidomi, who's still just chasing her down, and Haruko's avoiding everything pretty easily as she's fleeing. Hidomi says that she's no different. She says you're no different than the rest of them. I don't know who the rest of them are, but she says you're just a girl in love. She says this is all about you and that stupid bird or whatever. And they stop. She finally stops at the top of the roller coaster, like the apex of it on a big hill of it. And she stops. Haruko stops when she notices her bracelet clinking and wiggling around, and they both look up to see that the sky is now just bathed in red. There's this red shadow forming overhead, and she just says, "It's Adamus." That's episode 5.
It was a good episode.
It's really good. I like that episode.
Yeah, I liked it much.
There was a lot of there's a lot of like weird kind of slow parts in between, like particularly with the. But I mean the really cool art style, it made a lot of sense with that. Yeah. I liked it a lot. That scene where she's floating in the water, that scene where she's standing in the shower is both really good.
Those scenes are the shower scene was one of my favorites.
Very, very pretty. All right, we're on to episode 6. Let's finish it off.
Episode 6. Okay, and you're gonna have to guide me through.
Yeah, because you only watched it one time. As a while.
I only got to see it the one time. I did not get to watch it again. So.
Took so many
I think I still remember a whole lot of it though.
Yeah, dude. Let's hit it.
Episode 6, Our Running.
And
that's O-U-R, not H-O-U-R. Just to clarify.
It's ours.
Our Running.
It's yours and mine. Ours. So we get back. The park versus medical mechanical building iron battle is continuing. There are lasers coming out of medical mechanical, missiles from the park mech. Everyone freezes, however, when they see that big red shadow that's covering everything. And Haruko is ecstatic. She is so psyched. And she takes her guitar and slams it into this roller coaster, and it starts to like float off the ground and is reforming, and it's coming together with her on top of it into this big shape. And it's twisting around, and you see after a little while that it's forming a giant bird cage. And there's energy flowing off of medical mechanical building and off of the park. That NO is just flowing out of them toward this bird cage now. Adamus is there. You see that big ass bird, which we should point out now, this is the first time you actually see Adamus proper in the series, except the very first episode, that dream sequence where Hidomi is in front of that big dead thing. Mm-hmm. Rewatching it, I realized, oh shit, that was Adamus. That apparently in her dream sequence he was dead, whatever that means. But now we see him, and he's big and bad and alive, and he is flying over, and he is really big. So Hidomi is trying to get to Haruko again, and she says, well, this is what you wanted. You got what you wanted, so you can stop all this, and you can give Ide back. She wants Ide back. And Haruko says, you're like a kid. You're just you're being a little baby. She says, weren't you paying attention to anything I said in class? And she tells her, you're acting like a child, just demanding everything that should be yours. Mine, mine, mine. Which is very hilarious given how this episode ends. And Hidomi says, well, then what am I supposed to do? And Haruko holds her hand out to her and says, hand it over. And she says she wants her to hand over that power, and she'll take care of it. And Hidomi sits there for a second, and she's like, no, you're right. I get it now. I'm not a child. This is what I need to do. And she says, I'm going to take it. Whatever, if I want it, I'm just going to take it. And Haruko is very happy that she feels that way, and she says, well, you get a gold star. And then they start fighting again. Hidomi's swinging at her. Haruko is avoiding everything. It's pretty hard to actually hit Haruko. She's just too damn wiry. And that red energy, that NO, is still flowing into the bird cage and whatnot. The medical mechanical building starts firing these large globs of mochi. It's one of those things that just don't make sense, but it's fine. They're flying over the city. They're hitting people and things. We see Aiko, who has a gigantic, way too big for her backpack on, just full of everything she fucking owns, everything in the damn house, apparently. She pulled out the jerk and was just like, I don't need anything but this pen and this lamp and this leak. There's a leak hanging out of it. She's like got everything in this freaking backpack, and she's just walking. She's so tiny, and the thing's like 8 times her size. But she sees all these people running away like the way she's going. And they're running away from the center of town. She's like, huh. And she like turns back around, starts going that way. Because she's just such a fucking hipster. She got to go against the mainstream, I guess.
Yeah, gotta go against grain, dude.
But yeah, she's heading back to home, it looks like. And then we see Masaru and Eye Patch, who are also packing up, getting ready to evacuate when the house that they are in, of course, is crushed by a giant mochi ball. The cage has now absorbed all the NO out of the theme park and the medical mechanical building, and is approaching. It's floating up toward Atomisk. Obviously, Haruko's trying to literally catch this bird in her bird cage. The problem is he's so fucking big that his gravity just pulls the thing in and it shatters, and she's like, oh shit, he's too big, and her and Hidomi both get like sucked up into the chest of this bird.
Maybe a connection that doesn't mean anything, but maybe
it's
does.
Freebird.
I don't know. Well, no.
What was it?
You know how Atomisk is a big bird?
Yeah.
And Haruko's kind of like a wasp,
sure,
which is also very closely related to a bee.
What,
you got the birds and the bees.
Stop.
It could be with this series. It could be, dude. It could be.
No, that's fine.
You can't deny that it could be.
But the bird don't fuck the bee.
Who knows, man?
You know when they say the birds and the bees, the bird doesn't fuck the bee, or vice versa. You know that's not what they mean by the birds and the bees, right?
No.
well, it's not. Fucking weirdo. It's the bird and the bee. That's a band. It's a thing. Anyway. Yeah, Haruko and Hibajiri are pulled into this thing's gravity, into this giant bird, and they're gone. They're in it. The mochi is actually turning people in town into mochi. It even claims Mr. Dodo. He's like he's in the middle of an inspiring speech about how you kids are the fuel that'll reach the stars and shit like that, and then he gets hit by some mochi and just freezes. He's made of mochi now. Aiko approaches Masaru, and he gives a heartfelt speech as he's laying in the rubble of this house, like being crushed by it. And he says, the flower pot's gone. There's nothing. I don't know where it is. There's no way to stop this. And he says, you were supposed to be our last hope. Who would have guessed that when it came time, I wouldn't be able to bring myself to use you. We find out what that means a little later on, kinda. And he holds up the cash-o-lantern, I call it. It's the jack-o'-lantern full of money that she had. And tries to give it to her, and she says, I don't want it. And he says, no, just take it. I know you've been saving up. You were trying to buy your freedom, he says, which sounds weird. Sounds like she was like, I think it seems like she was planning on, like, you know, moving away, getting her own place or whatever. But he says you were planning to buy your freedom, and she finally does end up taking it when he says, well, here, just go, you're finally free. And so she takes the jack-o'-lantern, the cash-o'-lantern, and right as Masaru and Eye Patch are turned into mochi, she then feels her phone buzzing, and she's like, what? And she looks and sees all those missed calls from Mori, and she says to herself, the flower pot, a trigger? And I'm like, girl, you don't know what the fuck that is either. Don't lie to me. But she takes off. Back inside Atomisk, Haruko is surprised to see Kanti's head. He's unresponsive now. He's just a head, and he's not moving, and he's not even eating anything like a little dog or nothing. He's just sitting there on the couch. And the old lady is like saying, oh, come on, you were doing so well a second ago, and like kind of popping him on the head like she's trying to get the TV to work, which is pretty great. We then cut to Mori and Aiko, who are running to E-Days, and Mori's like, is this a date? And she's like, you can call it a date if you just hurry up, come on. And it's like goofy. But they're running to E-Day's place to try and find the flower pot. They find Hidomi's mom, who is also at E-Day's place trying to find E-Day, because she figured that Hidomi might be with him, etc., etc. And we cut right back to what do you call the old woman back inside of Adamus apparently, who out of frustration just smacks the shit. Oh wait, I did miss one thing. She does drop one line in here. The old lady's talking to Haruko for a second, and she says something. Let's see. Want to make sure I'm not missing this line. She says something. It's actually in a second, but I'll just go ahead and drop it in now because it's the same shit. She's talking to Haruko in a second, and she says something about how she says I can't remember exactly what she says. She says something like it came back for something. Maybe it came back for that, and she points, and you see the guitar Haruko's been using, which you know is Adam's guitar, in a big red force field just floating there. Mm-hmm. Like it's separate from her now. And it's like she the old lady's theorizing maybe that's what he came for or whatever. And then in a second she says, yours is right over there. Your bat's right there. And she points, and like there's Haruko's bass hanging off of like a piece of wreckage or something.
The Rickenbacker.
The Rickenbacker. Hey, Mr. Rickenbacker, rockety rock.
Famously used by the Beatles. All the Beatles.
Man, fuck the Beatles.
They used them Rickenbackers, dude.
You tell them I said
they used them Rickenbackers.
And they strapped them all the way up here, and they went, ding, ding, ding.
And they used those guitars because they were pretty cheap back then.
Yeah.
And now they are notoriously expensive.
It's almost like people dumb.
It's almost like the Beatles must have used one of them guitars.
Anyway. But yeah, she the old lady now slaps the shit out of Conti's head, which flies.
Slap your dumb ass.
It like flies along, like bounces along the floor for a second, landing in front of Hidomi, who's just sitting there. Right as she's doing that, we see Mori and Hibajiri's Hidomi's mom inside of Ide's place, standing there, kind of talking for a second, and we see Aiko, who has already found the flower pot, standing there. And right when Conti's head lands in front of Hidomi, and you see freaking Aiko now holding the flower pot, her eyes go ping, zzz, and they just go static. And like a connection has been made. And her little headband, her little bow on top of her head, the green bow, goes bzz, boom, and like shoots out of her head like a big ass bean sprout through the roof, which establishes this connection between her and Conti. Apparently, they had said before, Masarawa or something had said before that the flower pot or whatever it was had been made using pieces of Conti. It seems like the flower pot and Aiko is actually the flower pot or something. She's like, they're all part of Conti, just reconstituted and remade into different stuff. So it seems like she's some kind of robot guy, which kind of explains how Mori was like, she doesn't sweat or anything. It's fucking weird. Makes sense she wouldn't sweat if she's a robot girl.
Yep.
Anyway.
That would make sense. I didn't even catch that.
Fucking weird.
Good catch, dude. Good catch.
But, yeah, shoots through the roof, establishes his connection to Conti. Hidomi and her mom have a brief chat through this Conti/Aiko connection. Mom is worried. Hidomi cuts her off, says she doesn't even believe she's really worried. She doesn't really care. She says, you want to quit. You want to give up, just like you gave up on Dad when he left. And... yeah, it's pretty heavy. Mom says she wanted things to be the same. She only had the cafe because Dad wanted her to keep the cafe, and Dad's not there anymore. And it's just, what's the point? She's really bummed out about it. She says she wanted things to. I wanted things to be the same. I wanted to be a good mommy, but then you changed. You grew up, and she basically just says that she couldn't take it. She couldn't stand things being so different. She wanted them to be like they were when Dad was there. And Hidomi says, well, then we can run it together. Not for Dad, but because it's home, and it's because it's where I want to be. Which is very sincere and very nice. Get a little mother-daughter, like, reunion there.
She's being kind of for real, He ain't coming back. He's gone.
It's real wild. Like, Hidomi spent this whole fucking show being like all doom and gloom and sad and shit.
Of all the linear things that it does, I wish it would just give a little taste of maybe what happened to the dad.
Maybe. I wish that there had been more like this. I don't hate Hidomi's character. I'm very confused as to how she went from being so depressed and quiet to watching Ide's bubble husk fly into the sky and then turning into half a robot and then being assertive, like out of nowhere. I guess it was when she finally lost Ide that
she overflowed completely then too.
I guess so. It's just, I don't know. Dude, it's fine. I like her character.
Overflow.
It doesn't mean anything. Certainly doesn't mean what the show thinks it means. Anyway, but yeah, they have a little moment together. Maury's crying, which is pretty funny because like you can actually hear like the freaking faucet running. Mom actually hugs Aiko there, and Aiko wakes up and she's like, whoa, because she's like right in Mom's tits. Aiko wakes up disconnected. The cafe, you see a brief shot of it, which is very telling because like, oh, that's, you know what, we're gonna do it, and you see the cafe and then just it gets crushed by a giant blob of mochi. Like, it's just gone. It's pretty rad. And that's the commercial break. Just a perfect way to go to commercial. Coming back, Hidomi has resolved to use her power. She says she's gonna do it, and she's gonna take Ide back too. And Haruko says, "Hey, it's a great plan, except you definitely won't." I mean, she says that she's telling Hidomi that she's too scared. You're not gonna do it. You know, taking off those headphones means that you're not gonna be human anymore. And she says, "You still want to do it?" Yeah. She like does the nya thing. Yeah. Oh my god. As they're having this conversation, for some reason, a big ass robot pops out of the ground. Why not? Haruko attacks it, starts swinging at it. It goes for Hidomi with one of its big claws, but it is blocked, ping, by a fully reformed Kanti. The boy is back. And you're gonna get in trouble. Hey, Kanti. All right.
Okay.
This is the worst.
And boy, have I never been more excited to see another character from the original Fooly Cooly. Because at this point, I mean, Haruko's been great and all.
Meh.
But I wanted some Kanti, okay? And I was super excited to see him back. You weren't excited about Kanti coming back?
Yeah, it's fine.
Even for just a little bit?
Yeah, it's fine.
I didn't like seeing him crucified, man.
It's fine.
It's not good.
It's fine. Anyway, he grabs this.
Suck my nuts, you son of a bitch.
I won't do it. He grabs that freaking the claw thing, stops it from hitting her, spins it around, throws it back at this big robot thing, knocks it over, gets a good chunk out of it.
He whips a little ass.
He's a little cheeseburger. And then he's trying to communicate with Hidomi. He's like kind of doing this where he's like grabbing the sides of his head and pulling his hands away like he's telling her to take off the headphones. And she doesn't seem to be getting it. And he just kind of walks over to her and grabs the headphones and looks like he's trying to like pull them off, and he's really struggling. Like he's got the little like, you know, the little red marks showing up on his screen to show he can't really do it. He's got that big TV head, and finally he just like squeezes them and crushes them on either side of her head, and they fall away. And there's this, all of a sudden, this huge like pshing, this huge like white light is spewing out of her head as she's being activated. I guess she's overflowing or whatever. And she looks at Kanti. She looks shocked, like mouth agape. She's kind of staring at him, but then she just kind of smiles. And then she transforms into her fully robot form that we saw in that first episode we finally get to get a real good look at it. It's sick too. It's pretty sick.
I also really like
it's like a very, very, like a way more futuristic version of Kanti.
Yeah, I really like too whenever they do robots and stuff, and occasionally they don't have like human feet. They're just little pegs. Kinda. Yeah, I like that a lot.
They got them red ice legs or whatever. Pokemon. All right. But yeah, she transforms fully. And she starts whipping some ass. She finishes off that weird robot that popped out of the ground. Cutting back, Mori. This is a great one. He's on his bike and he's pumping so hard. And Aiko and Hidomi's mom are both on the back of the bike, and he's just like, this fucking fat kid is just struggling, dude. He's making it happen. And they're going toward the medical mechanica building, and the thing like finally breaks underneath him, like, because it's just, he's pumping so hard, just and falls apart, and everybody just falls off of it when they get to the building. And Aiko takes the flower pot and she stands in front of the upturned iron, and she kind of faces it with her faces away from it with her back to it. And Hidomi's mom says something like, "What an odd girl." And Mori says, "I prefer unique," or something like that. And then she fucking transforms and blossoms into this huge viney plant that just like grows all over from the flower pot, like out of it, all over the front of the building, these huge vines creeping up it, like reclaiming it, and crap, and just covering this thing. And she's like engrossed and surrounded and then covered ultimately by these vines. You can't even see her anymore. And fucking mom is like, that's what you call unique? And he's like, yeah. It's like fucking weird. I don't know what's going on there, but it's a big vine thing. It's great. So then cutting back to the inside of Atomisk, apparently, Conti, Hidomi, and Haruko are racing through these, what I call acid trip tunnels, because they're all just these weird, swirly, colorful tunnels that they're like flying through, smashing through and or avoiding these robots that are trying to catch and stop them. All the while they are chasing after these black hole like portal things. They miss one and Haruko's like, oh, what the hell? That's what's supposed to happen. I'm supposed to get through. And then Conti manages to get to one, flings this, what appears to be like some kind of spaceship or something that the little old lady is in, through the portal, and then grabs it himself and forces it open so that Hidomi and Haruko can get through. And they look back just in time to see the thing close with Conti still in it. So he's like trapped in there apparently. But then they fly through this light at the end of the tunnel. And like, this is one of those where they were like, I don't know how to draw this transition. Let's just pop in. And so and they're just standing on top of this spaceship thingy that's floating there. It's like they got out and then there it is. And they're like, hey, where's Atomisk? Like, I don't know how to draw him not being there. Let's just pop him out. And he's just not there. They just like escaped him or whatever. I don't know. It was weird. And then they look up. They don't see Atomisk anywhere. They do see Conti, who is glowing red. He is full on Atomisk Conti type thingy. And yeah, he is just standing there looking like a real badass. And as they're standing there, as Haruko and the Hidomi bot are both standing there looking at it, a pair of glasses flash on the screen. And so Haruko's like, it's Atomisk. And then a pair of glasses flash on it that look exactly like Ide's glasses. And Hidomi's like, it's Ide. And like, apparently they're both just in Conti right now. Mm-hmm. It's a weird series of things happens here. And this is a part that like really kind of took me out of it, I'll be honest. They're both trying to like coax him their way. It's like if two kids were like, if there's a puppy and there's two kids on either side of it and they're like, come here. And the other one's like, no, come here. Like that's what they're doing. And he's just not moving. He's just staring at him. And then another image flashes on Conti's screen, which kind of looks like a pie. I don't know. It looks like a pie. Mm-hmm. And they both kind of stop and they're like, oh, I get it. I see. I have to take it. And then Hidomi's like, yeah, I'll take it. And then they start fighting over Conti / Atomisk / Ide. They're fighting each other. Dude. They're fighting over it. And meanwhile, this is what kind of took me out of it, is that like they literally are fighting over a 3-fold dude who is just standing there with his arms crossed, like kind of like watching, like, hell yeah, this is great. Like, well, okay, fine. That's where we're at. But yeah, they're just fighting each other. They're going at it, etc., smacking the shit out of each other. They're doing battle. Conti, Atomisk, Ide is watching the whole thing. Haruko knocks Hidomi down and then jumps toward the bot. Hidomi jumps back up, and Haruko has a great line. She says, Hibaji, stop cock blocking, which is pretty great. Hidomi bot just punches the shit, like just punches Haruko dead in her face. Like you actually see her nose bleeding. And then Haruko's like, oh yeah, motherfucker. And just takes her guitar and smashes it into the screen on the Hidomi bot, which when her guitar falls away is cracked open. And you see Hidomi actually jump out of it like regular ass Hidomi. They both fly toward this thing, go and smooch, and they both kiss it at the same time. And it's like, all right, well, this is what's happening. There's a big heart.
It was really strange. It was
real doofy.
It had all of the ground length to be really awesome.
I don't know. I really don't know about any of this last bit.
Well, I mean, like when they were fighting and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it had a whole lot going for it that could be really awesome. Then it turned into this.
It's literally a cat fight of these two female characters fighting over a dude. Like, what the ever-loving shit?
Trying to suck their crush out of the robot.
It's fucking kind of. This whole thing bummed me out a little bit. They both like double smooch the robot.
Who also had a lot of Conti had a lot of penis references to him in the original. So
It's weird. All right, well,
sucking on that robot dog. Dude.
All right, well,
sucking on that robot dick.
They're kissing his screen. I mean, you're taking it to a whole nother level.
I am.
So as they're smooching it, there's a big pink cartoony heart that beats on the screen, and like, and then like it like goes all the way and pops. Freaking Hidomi and Kanti stops glowing red and falls away with Hidomi, and they both fall down. Haruko lands, and Hidomi gets up and she turns and looks at her, and she sees Haruko is glowing red. She's got Animus power, and she's laughing this very maniacal laughter, and she's like, yeah, she's like, and like you see her like stomach, it's extra cartoony now that she's growing red, but her stomach's like bubbling and like zooming at her. She's like, no. She's trying to hold it down, and then she like falls over to her knees and just and pukes up a bunch of neon pink goo. Kanti likewise starts spewing black goo, which then reforms into a completely nude Ide. The boy is back. Haruko's goo then forms into this standing...
Everybody's shooting their goo, my dude.
Everybody's shooting their goo, my dude. Haruko's goo, big pink goo, reforms into a humanoid form of what is Atomisk, what must be Atomisk. And it's standing there completely like there's no shape, there's no form. It's just like... It's like if you were to draw, like if you like if you ever seen on any website when it's like anonymous, like there's just like a gray head or something. It's like that, but like red. It's just like no hair, no form, no face, no anything. Just two big glowing eyes on a red, vaguely humanoid shape. Really pretty goofy looking. Which makes some of these next scenes even goofier. But yeah, it's Atomisk clearly, and she says you better not run away. And she says, you became mine, didn't you, Atomisk? And she like reaches her hand at him with that metal brace on it, and these big red chains fly out of it toward him. She's trying to chain him again, and they all just like dissolve before they even get to him. Like he's too strong right now. Haruko's furious. She jumps up.
She's like verbally abusing this
red
eyeballed figure.
It's pretty goofy.
And she begins to assault him.
She swings her guitar at him. It doesn't even reach him. There's like a force field in front of him, and it just bounces away. She then like is literally just swinging her fists at him, punching him. It's hitting him, but he's just like unflinching, doesn't move at all. It's just like nothing. It's just standing there completely expressionless. Haruko's furious. She says, why do you keep refusing to be mine? Which is obviously like, oh, wow, you were just talking shit about Hidomi for wanting Ide back, and now here you are, mine. And she says, she starts actually, again, screaming. Her fury, though, then fades into tears, and she says, why won't you look at me? And she's just standing there, like, crying and looking down. She says, can't you see my body's overflowing? And then Atomisk walks over and hugs her. And then she looks up at his completely expressionless face. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
There is no expression. And she's like blushing, like, it's like, seriously. There's nothing. It's nothing. It's like, it may as well be a fucking golf ball. Like, there's nothing there. It's one of those fucking red dodgeballs. Well, there's just nothing there.
You didn't see the red rocket?
There is no emotion. There's no nothing. He feels nothing. You didn't see
that lipstick, dude?
He doesn't appear to feel anything. And she, like, blushes and then kisses his featureless face. And as she does, these huge wings sprout out of the back of him, as we've seen before. Ide wakes up, and he's hearing Jinyu's words about fireworks again. Did you ever try to draw fireworks after you saw them with your parents? You couldn't do it because the only way to do it was to color the paper all the way black
and then work from there.
And she says, all those lights among that darkness, it was beautiful, which is kind of an allegory, I think, for what Hidomi had been going through. She like clearly was depressed, but like she had these moments where she was smiling and happy and shit. It's kind of like that to me anyway.
Yeah.
And then here Ide's remembering that, and he says to himself, all beautiful things fade away. And Atomisk reforms into a full-on big-ass bird and flies away. He gone, leaving Haruko hugging Jinyu. Jinyu is back. Jinyu smiles at Haruko. Haruko starts crying. She says, I thought this time for sure I was going to get what I was fighting for, or something like that. The medical mechanical building crumbles. The captain, the Mr. Dodo, whatever, Mr. Tonkichi, is free from his mochi prison. He's watching it crumble. The big castle, which is also encased in mochi, falls and the like mochi shell falls apart behind him, leaving just Marco standing there like on a big platform. He's like, what the hell? And here you go. This is the line, obviously. Marcos asks what was the reason for all of this, to which Mr. Tonkichi says, no reason for any of it. And he says that, as we see Adam is flying away, he also says, that thing probably didn't come for any specific reason either. And then back where the medical mechanic building was, we see Mori and Hidomi's mom standing there looking at this giant, like, flower that's turned kind of turns downward at the top of it with this big about to bloom blossom, which then ping turns into a big ass jack-o'-lantern, and pop out of it falls a fully nude Aiko, who's holding like the potted plant still, and Mori runs over and grabs her, manages to catch her before she hits the ground and catches her. And they both laughed. Very nice. Immediately afterwards, the big ass spaceship that Hidomi and Haruko had been on crashes into the ground, narrowly missing them, almost killing them, which is pretty great. There's a brief talk here after that scene. It's kind of like the wrap up, like, you know, I think this is right before the credits, but a lot of this happens during the credits. Hidomi's talking to Haruko. Haruko intends to keep chasing Atomisk. We see Jinyu driving off in her car again. She's just leaving, apparently. Hidomi makes some kind of comment about how it's the thrill of a chase, like you want him because you can't get him, and you can't get him because you want him, or something like that. And Ide, quote unquote, breaks it off with Haruko. He's like trying to let her down easy because he thinks that Haruko actually likes him.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny. And Haruko just falls over laughing her ass off. She's like, oh man, oh, thanks for letting me down easy there, big guy. And then she jumps on her Vespa and she's like, all right, see you around, losers. And she says, Haruko out. She actually says that as she flies away on her Vespa, and that's the last you see of her. The old woman who was in the big base up there revives Eye Patch and Masarao, who like she does so with like a flower pot, just watering them. And Masarao is revealed to, under his hat, have these tiny little eyebrows, which she says, oh, just like your father, which is pretty great because it does in fact imply that Amuro is this guy's dad, Amuro from the first series. Great. We then get a brief shot of Mom and Conti serving the guests in the ruins of the cafe. They are both, of course, wearing maid outfits, so Conti is, you know, moving again, and they still have the cafe, apparently, even though it's rubble. And we then get a shot of Ide and Hidomi standing before this. I still don't know what this was exactly. It's a big screen that's just covered in these numbers that slowly start blinking out. It appears to be something from the base that they were on. It's also, I think, worth mentioning that in the like first episode when Ide talks about these museum tickets, it's the same picture. It's like the ticket has those series of numbers on it. It looks exactly like this thing. Mm-hmm. So like it was a tech museum or something, and that's where he's trying to go, whatever. They got their date to the museum, I guess. Whatever. And as they're standing there watching this thing like blink out, just slowly die, she has a little voiceover and she says, there's nothing I want to be, there's nothing I want to do, and that's probably not the best way to be, but you know what, it probably doesn't matter. And then they lean in for a kiss. The screen cuts to black right before they do the rest of the credits. That's the series. All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I really didn't like the whole catfight thing.
Yeah.
It bummed me out a bit. Also,
it just was kind of flat, dude. Like that end
weird
scene is. It could have been so much more. Could have been so much cooler.
Yeah. I think it could have been. It could have been a lot of things. This whole series could have been a lot of things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what it was, and what it was kind of silly to me. Like the whole, it just literally devolved into a cat fight between these two main characters, these two female main characters fighting over a triad of dudes who are all inside a robot or whatever.
It took like Haruko from the original series. It's kind of, she's like a beloved character, man, and hollowed her out a little bit. I
think my biggest problem with this
is
they tried
to add in, and it took away from her. I think.
Yeah, I have several problems with this, obviously, because again, it's impossible for me to watch this without comparing it to the original. But like, okay, so the whole idea that Haruko is literally in love with Adamisk. There is one scene I can remember from the original series where it was like the second to last episode after Conti went red, pulled the guitar out of his head, and that's when she knew, oh, that's actually Adamisk. It's not just some crazy power. It's Adamisk because it's got his guitar. That after that scene, you see the very last thing in that episode, I think, is Conti standing there still all red with that power. Naota usually only turns red when Naota's inside of him and he's using him. Naota's the bullet that he fires. Naota is not in him now because he's laying on the ground.
Bullet, I think.
Yeah, it was Brittle Bullet. It's the second to last episode. And Haruko lands there, and she's doing she's got like the little sparklies, like she's so in love with what she's looking at. She's standing there, I think, on top of Naota, staring at the red Conti, who we know is Adamisk. And she's like, that's as much as you get that she loves this thing. But then the very next episode that is subverted, it's kind of like you're supposed to think she loves this thing, when in fact she says when Naota like goes back into Conti for the last time, and like then he comes out with Adam's power. Before he does, she says she's telling Amuro, who's trying to like stop her and say, no, don't you understand? You're gonna destroy everything. You're giving them mechanical what they want. And she says, I don't care about that. All I care about is getting to him. And then which may, again, could be taken a number of ways, but then when Naota comes out and has that power, she is furious, not because she loves this thing, because, as she says, I'm the one who's supposed to eat him. Which makes it sound like she doesn't love Adamisk at all. She wants that power.
Yeah, she wants the power.
Specifically, she wants that power.
That's what I thought too.
That's like what that whole series was to me. Is like, you think you know who this person is. Oh, now you think you know who it is because maybe she loves this thing. Oh no, now you find out no, she doesn't love it at all. She just wants that power. That's what she was. She was like she was kind of an anti-hero through the whole thing. Not a good guy, not a bad guy necessarily. Yeah. She was just this thing that was there who was crazy and wild and kind of seemed like it was helping, even as it like ruined everything. And then ultimately all it cared about was getting stronger, and that's what she wanted without him his power. So this took that and turned her into a drooling fangirl. It's really hard for me to see it any other way. Like, that sounds harsh. Well, and I feel like I'm being unfair even when I say
like somebody that was in the first series seemed like she was hungry for power, like you said, but in this one, it's like her and Adamisk are like symbolism for a toxic relationship.
Yeah, very much so. Like, she's literally trying to chain him down, and of course, he is free as a bird now, and this bird you cannot change. Obviously. Yeah. She tried to cage him. She literally tried to cage him. She had him on a chain, and then he got away, and he just wants his freedom. And also, like, she's like blushing when she looks at him, and there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's just nothing there. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's weird. It's strange.
It's just so doofy. Like that scene where she's like blushing and then she kisses this emotionless, expressionless face.
It's like I said earlier, like, you know, in the first series she was such a great character. And in this series they did a lot to try to add stuff to her, and it just made her more hollow. Just wasn't. She's not as good.
The thing for me is, even if I attempt to, because obviously I can't do it 100%. I can't completely divorce myself from that first series because I loved it so much, and I'm so familiar with it.
I refuse.
But even if I like pretend that didn't exist, I look at this and I see this character who went from being, perhaps if I'm just looking at this series, just at Progressive, I'm looking at a character who was manipulative from the very beginning, brainwashing these kids in this class and whatnot, lying, and was very, very perhaps seductive at times, perhaps like just a wild character doing these crazy things, very powerful, who then at the end of it turns into but why don't you like me? And that's like just not good character.
No.
That's just not a good character.
It definitely, like, I did like Progressive. I did enjoy
the show. I'm not gonna say I didn't. I really did.
I would watch it again.
I probably will watch it again and keep fucking picking it apart.
I would recommend it to people, for the most part. But yeah, It definitely did not live up to the hype.
I mean,
but it tried.
The good things I can say about it is it did have a lot of there were several very cool scenes.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of just cool shit that happens. But, like, I really don't like what the character of Haruko was in this. Again, even if I ignore what I knew about her from the first series, she goes from being, like, powerful, whipping ass, manipulative, even possibly just a villain, to sniveling and frowning and crying because why don't you like me? Why don't you like me? I could be dirty, I could be flirty, I could be dirty. That's it. I'm doing a Mika song now. But why don't you like me? Why don't you like me? I don't know all the words. But yeah, that's what it was, man. It was that really bummed me out. Like, that's how it ended.
Yeah.
Also, like, what's with that? I mean, I get that, like, you can't give him an expression or anything, but the fact that she's, like, so in love with this thing that is giving her back zero emotion is really telling, I think. Maybe that's, like, the big...
I think it would have been less...
Maybe that's, like, the big point is that, like, she's obviously seeing something that is not there because dude has no expressions, no emotion. He ain't blushing. He ain't kissing you. You're the one who's feeling everything.
You're reading into the... Yeah.
She got friend-zoned. She has the hardest core unrequited love ever.
I was told that's not real.
It's not, but that's what we would call it. It's a very heavily unrequited love, very gigantic crush that crushes her very hard.
I think maybe Adamus, just the way he appears and, like, you looking at her, look at him all strange and blushing and stuff. It might be less weird if they would take those eyes off.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I had this thought while I was watching it. He
looks like an infrared Mothman.
It's pretty weird. He does look like Mothman. Oh, man. Did you hear the new episode of Homegirl Show?
I watched Parker. Yeah, Hidden.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I watched the...
Shout out to our good buddy Parker. Heyo.
Yeah.
And Braxton. Heyo.
Parker and Braxton. Very good. They have a podcast out now. It's called Hidden.
That's a free shout out.
Yeah. I like those guys a whole lot. And
they're really cool.
I've got about halfway through the Mothman one. I actually suggested, I don't know if they did it due to my suggestion of Mothman, but I sent them a message in their little request things.
Mothman's like, great. I love me some
Mothman. Do it now, please. Love Roger.
Love me some. I got that tank top with Mothman on it. He's doing a sick kick flip and it says rad. But yeah, man. Also, here's a thought I had while I was watching that the second time is this expressionless thing. Like I said, it looks like one of those, like, a placeholder that you would have, like, if you were on some website and you were anonymous, you didn't have a profile or whatever. That's what, like, that's the egg on Twitter and shit. I was watching that and I was like, is that like, because I've seen shit before where people will draw, like, a character they like and they will draw it with a, like, faceless, formless, nothing caricature that's like, so, like, you can pretend it's you. I'm like, that's not what they were doing, was it? God, I hope not.
Yeah, I don't know.
That would be a real bummer.
I mean, they literally are. They're symbolism. They're a metaphor for a toxic relationship.
Yeah, very much so. But it's just, again, that's just bad. Like, even if that's the metaphor, that's bad character.
And actually, well, I don't think it has to be bad. I think the way it was executed wasn't good.
I don't know.
I don't think it, I think really pointing out sometimes, how toxic people can be together.
Oh, no, for sure.
Because some people are so freaking blind to it. If you do that in a really, really awesome way, it would work, clearly, because it's done in a really, really awesome way. This was not.
It's not even, like, that much of a... It's not even a toxic relationship, because dude's not even in the relationship. That's the thing. Well, it really is just unrequited love crush kind of shit.
Well, like, I mean, clearly they've had some connection before. The chains hooked up, dude.
That doesn't necessarily mean... but that implies that it wasn't even his...
Maybe he let her on with the power. I don't know, dude.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's hard. Okay, you can't see someone in chains and being like, well, he let her on. Like, well, no.
No, I don't think that's what... The chains don't symbolize they're chained. It's that they've linked up.
No, I think the chains are literally... I get that. I'm saying the chains literally symbolize her chaining him. She like trying to make him her property. She tried to put him in a fucking cage, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, that did happen.
Like,
who knows, man?
I don't know. This whole thing just kind of bummed me out.
Brandon, give me your 3 words for this series.
I didn't hate it. No, that's 4 words. Hey, you ready? You ready to I'm just about to feel like an asshole.
Yeah.
The ultimate asshole. You ready to hear me be the worst person ever?
Yeah.
not as good.
You son of a bitch! You took mine. How did you do that? How did you know mine?
It's so fucked up.
I was in my brain rolling around how
you can take that.
I was gonna say I was trying to I was like maybe because I want to still say that it's good, so I was thinking like maybe good, not as, and I was thinking in my mind waiting for you to come up with your 3 words. But yeah, my initial was not as good.
I'm not. No, I don't want that to be my 3.
We'll give 3 words, 3 individual words that don't really form. I know I've done that before. It's kind of cheating. It's good.
Is it?
Yes, it's good. I would say that it is good. Is a perfect word for it. It is not exceptional. It is not groundbreaking like the original Fooly Cooly, but it is good.
All right,
it's good.
That's your 1.
Okay, my next one would be flashy. Sure. It is a good bit flashy.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's a little bit flat.
Yeah.
Flat would be my 3rd.
I can go with that. That's a really good 3. Here's my real 3. It was fine.
I'll take it, man.
I don't know. The whole thing, I don't know.
Good, fine, okay.
Let's go watch something that's not a sequel so I can stop feeling like a fucking asshole.
Well, get ready, dude.
I feel like such a jackass. What are we watching
got
next?
Alternative after that.
But what are we watching next?
What are we watching next?
We didn't even talk about this. We really should have thought about this.
Yeah, man.
Oh, fuck.
What are we watching
get on
next?
Find something. Oh, God damn it. We really fucked up, bud. We really fucked up this one. Oh, shit.
You think we should leave it to the good buddies? Give them 13 or less episodes?
Buddy, we're supposed to say what we're watching next, so we know what we're watching next.
Shoot, I forgot about doing this. My whole life got thrown off last week, so...
Quick, pause. We'll think of something in the break.
Okay, we're pausing. All right, we decided.
We figured it out.
Yeah, we figured out what we're watching.
But before we talk about that, we got any questions?
We do. We have a couple of questions.
We got some questions, motherfucking questions.
So first, our good buddy Ellison writes a question.
Oh shit, Tukey. Oh shit, my boy Tukey.
He says,
"Boy, talked all that shit. Is it about him talking shit on me? He's talking shit on me again?"
No, he's actually not. It was a very simple question.
My good buddy.
It's practically a yes or no.
Oh fuck.
Do you plan on watching any samurai anime?
Samurai?
Samurai, dude.
Samurai.
I asked him. I was like, "Are you talking about in life ever, or for the podcast?" He said, "In life ever."
In life ever.
Are you going to watch any samurai anime?
I mean, samurai.
I have watched samurai anime. So I would say yes.
I know you like some Rurouni Kenshin. Don't
I
you?
love it.
I could get into that show, which I feel is slightly blasphemous because everybody loves it.
I'll tell you what's not a good one: Samurai Deeper Kyo. That's awful.
That's going on the list. Just to piss you off. No, yeah, that sounds fine. I mean, I've seen some that I enjoyed, a couple. I wouldn't mind watching some more. Let tell you about samurai. They got swords.
They got swords. They got katana.
They sure do have them. They go.
Okay.
We're sword fighting now, everybody.
Yes. To answer your question, yes, I probably will watch more samurai anime.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. Why not?
Great question, my guy.
Are there any cool ones that come out while we're doing that we can watch those?
Yeah, maybe Tukey can let us know. Our good buddy Tukey can let us know if there's any great samurai anime that maybe we missed.
My good buddy Ellison is going to tell me all about samurai animes.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Okay. And then...
we got another one?
We got a second question from our good buddy Allie.
Oh, fuck.
Allie-san.
Don't do that.
I'm doing it.
Don't do that.
I know she's got it before.
Can I tell you real quick? I was at the store and there was a person. I was at my job and there's a person there. I don't know how we got on subject to animes. We were talking about animes and I was like, "Oh yeah, I love this show. We watched it for the podcast." And she was like, "Podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, podcast called Good Buddies Anime Pod." Spreading the word. Mm-hmm. She pulled it up and she was like, "Oh yeah, there it is. I see it right there." And she's like looking at the little. She's looking at the logo and she sees the like Japanese text on there and she's like, "I can read one of those characters." And I was like, "Oh yeah, man, that's Roger, my good buddy Roger. He wanted to call it the anime Kurabu." And I was like, "Buddy, we ain't Japanese." Which is one of my favorite stories. Buddy, you know we ain't Japanese, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that text says good buddies.
Does it actually, or is it something very close to it?
Yes.
Did you put it through Google Translate and then put it back through again?
Yeah, I worked it out. I worked it out, man.
It said
I question my methods.
It actually says sugar substitute. Anyway, I love you, good buddy.
The anime Karabu, dude.
Ah, come on.
Which is also crab.
Oh my god. Can I please get Allie's question? Because I need to break away from this subject.
Here's our good buddy.
Good buddy Allie's bringing the heat, bringing the noise, bringing the funk.
I would kind of love to hear some coming of age stories from you two.
Oh shit.
So, and later on she elaborates a little bit. Something around the age of 13. I don't know if
13 wasn't a good time for me.
I learned to whack off at 13.
Jesus
around that
Christ,
time.
Roger. You just went straight for it, huh? You just went straight to it.
That's about the time.
It's always back to the jizzwell for you. It's called the jizzwell.
It's a never-ending well, dude.
It's full
of my goo, my dude.
God damn it. That's weird.
But that's not a coming of age story, really.
Most of my stories at 13 were about me being a little asshole. I've said this before, and I realized that it's like blaming my problems on my parents and shit. But I remember being 13, being around that age, and just being really angry all the time. I was literally every day getting into fights at school and shit. Literally every day I was in the office or getting sent home and shit.
He's tossing them dick beaters up.
I was just a very angry kid for some reason. And looking back, once I was in high school and I calmed down, I was like, why was I so fucking angry? And the only thing I can think of is that's when my parents were getting divorced, and that might have had something to do with it, which is kind of a cliche excuse, but I mean, that's all I got. I have no other reason other than maybe I was just an asshole. But let's see, a good coming of age story. I remember one time,
you got any first love stories, dude?
Nothing good.
Nothing good?
Nothing worth talking about. There was nothing good there. Jeez, I don't know. What makes a good coming of age story? I'm trying to think. I'm scouring my brain. Tell me about it, man.
Well, let's think of a time that I came to age.
You came to age.
I came to age. Man, I am really bad at growing up.
This is a story called Roger.
I feel like I'm still coming to age.
Roger Moore comes to age.
My back is starting to hurt, and I still feel like I'm 16 or 17. Maybe 18.
Yeah, we're a couple little cuties. We ain't growing up. I would say... Gosh, I'm really trying to think. So what makes a coming of age story? It's got to be something where, I grew up a little. Yeah. Is that the idea?
Yeah, you learned something valuable.
I learned something valuable. Man, this makes for great radio, right? You picked the wrong two people, Allie. I gotta tell you. I love you.
Age.
Allie, I love you from here to hell and back. But damn, this is the hardest question I've ever been asked.
It is tough.
You want to pause again?
No. I mean, there's always that great story. This is way later in my life.
All right, bring it. I want to hear about this.
26 or so.
Jesus.
With my current girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Who, before we were dating, I told her that she would be stupid not to date me because...
It's a little mean.
Because I was like, every single time...
What, you gonna do better?
I talk, I get into a girl or whatever, and I'm always super, super nice. And then...
Real nice guy, this one.
Yeah, I'm a super nice guy.
Jesus.
And I was like, what happens if I try just one time if I'm just a total ass? It paid off for me.
The worst.
Doesn't make her sound bad or anything.
Not a lesson.
I was also very, very nice a whole lot too.
Oh Jesus!
Before I threw that one out there, so I learned something that day. Nice guys, they finished last.
When you run out of gas, don't pat yourself on the back. You might break your spine. All right, it's a little Green Day. I'm still trying to think of a good coming of age.
Don't swing your arms in a mosh pit. You might dislocate your shoulder.
That's one you learned.
Yep, learned that one.
I sure as hell didn't learn that. I'm really having a time.
If you're
I think what we're finding out is I've learned nothing. I've made it this far.
If you're on a
nothing.
swing set and the swing set is on a hill, don't jump off that swing set.
Yeah, that seems like a really bad. Did you break your arm or something?
No, I landed flat on my back. It winded me.
I learned. Roger learned not.
Winded me.
Roger learned not to go fighting werewolves. He's got the scar to show it.
Yeah, if your mom tells you there's a rotted piece of floor in front of a window,
don't walk in front of it.
Not to step on it. Don't immediately step on it. Don't punch out that window.
Maybe you don't have to test that theory.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something you can just believe.
Yep. But then you get those fun pills and you get real loopy watching some mushishi.
I don't even know what that is.
You didn't watch Mushishi?
Maybe I did and I don't recognize it.
Oh man, it's so good.
I'm still trying to think of like shit I learned. I've learned nothing, I think is what we're finding out. I am a blank slate. I am the nothing boy. Brandon, the nothing boy. Man, I'm really having a hard time here, Roger.
Allie, unfortunately, Brandon has never come to age.
Yeah, I'm like a giant baby.
He has no coming of age.
I'm
stories.
like a giant. I mean, I've picked up stuff every now and then, like, but I just don't have stories about it. Nothing worth telling, I don't think. It's all just like basic, like, you know, you learn, you live, you learn. You don't get a good story out of it. I think. I'm really trying. I'm really thinking. Let's see, 13 years of age.
That about when you start whacking off?
Here you go, right back to the jizz well with this kid. You're a fucking bad person, Roger.
But you didn't answer the question.
I honestly don't recall. Here's one I learned. When fucking people ask you about masturbating, maybe just don't talk to them. Maybe you just walk away because that's fucking weird. I don't know you, asshole. No.
Well, I know you spanking that monkey now.
Fucking weird. Why you be? This is the worst conversation.
This is the best one, Brandon. It's so uncomfortable.
I'm very uncomfortable with what's happening
I can see the uncomfort radiating off of his nice complexion.
Well, we've had a great time today. Yeah, I got nothing, dude. I really got nothing. I can't think of anything. Worth talking about.
He's got nothing. Maybe he'll come back to it.
Just don't be a jackass. I learned that. I don't remember when, and it wouldn't make a good story. Just don't be one. Just don't be a jackass. Some people aren't worth trying to argue with and explain yourself to, because people that matter don't mind. People in mind don't matter. I'm sure I heard that somewhere. I don't know where. It's a lesson I learned. It's, again, not a very good story. I mean, I don't have any good stories is the problem. I just have, I have stories, but none of them are good.
Man, this is getting really sad.
I mean, I just haven't led a terribly exciting life, Roger. I mean, all my stories aren't about like learning lessons. They're all about like, you know, this shitty thing happened or I almost died or something. But I didn't like necessarily learn anything. It was just like, yeah, that was a dumb thing and I don't do that. So I learned not to do that, I guess. I got basically nothing. Yeah, I don't know.
When in your life did you start feeling like an adult?
You kidding? This is gonna turn into therapy.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Well, this morning I woke up.
Do you feel like adult? Let's
Hell
ask
no,
you that.
dude.
Oh, see, there you go. So what the fuck kind of question is that? Let's just you know what? It don't all have to be animes and jizz jokes. Let's just have a talk, man. Like, do you feel like a grown ass person, really?
No, not really.
I mean, I have a job. I make money. I don't feel like
I left a job to do this.
That's the thing. Like, you don't really like have a moment when you're like, I'm an adult now, unless you specifically go for that. I think you just kind of realize that nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. Like my parents didn't know what the hell they were doing. They were just living too.
Yep, just floating through the ages.
Yeah, man. People younger than me got fucking families and shit. I'm like, man, y'all can't possibly have it under control though. And hell no, they don't.
What point in your life did you realize that you liked anime?
Animes?
Uh-huh.
I still wouldn't say I do. No.
You son of a bitch.
I don't know, man. They're all right. You got them cartoons. They got them they have cool faces.
I fell in love with anime very early. Very early. Pre-10 for sure.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I loved it. And then just instantly anybody that I meet that loves anime, I bond with them. That's why we bond, dude. Because you love anime. You're a closet weeb.
I would never use those terms.
When are you coming out of the closet?
I don't think I'm much a weeb. I think it's a more interesting podcast if you're like really gung ho about anime and I'm just like, yeah, this was cool.
Yeah, but everybody knows you're full of shit though.
Well, I mean, Tookie was giving me shit about that. He's like, you're the super weeb, bro. You're an otaku. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm not. And he's like, you go to anime punk. I'm like, you dick. I don't think I'm a super duper weeb. I mean, I'm not really. I mean, I like some shows.
Hey, man, whatever.
We talked about this in episode 0, which I re-listened to not too long ago, like last week.
Was it still good?
It's still pretty good. It holds up.
Nice.
our show holds up.
Yeah, it holds up.
After like 20 weeks, our show holds up.
Okay, dude.
Allie, thank you for your beautiful question that I could not give a decent answer to.
We got a little peek
at Brandon's shitty about that. I feel really shitty about that.
You got a funny story that something happened to you that's really funny in your life?
Let's see. One thing I learned is don't rely on other people to get you through shit necessily.
Unless it's me.
Specifically,
because I leave no soldier behind.
I was driving, me and my good buddy Adam. We were in the car. I was driving. He was passenger seat. We were following my good buddy Craig. We were going to a concert. He was driving. He had some other people in his car, and we were following him. And we were
my God.
Craig definitely knows where he's going.
Did Craig get pulled over in this story?
No, he didn't get pulled over in this story. This is a story where we were going down the highway, and this fool from the middle lane jumps across the whole right lane of traffic to get through the exit. I'm still in the middle lane, and I'm just like, oh, fuck. And we end up like going way too slow, pulling over way too late, and almost dying like 3 times. It was really fucked up. What makes that story even more fucked up is that just before we took that trip, my good buddy Adam was like, "Hey, Bush, you drive. You're a good driver. I mean, I've driven before, but you're gonna drive safe." And I was like, "Yeah, of course. I always drive safe." He's like, "Because I had a dream that I was riding with you. I was in the passenger seat, and you were driving, and we like crashed, and I felt myself dying, man." And I was like, "Hey, that's a really fucked up thing to say before we take this road trip." So. So what I learned there is don't follow Craig. Use a fucking GPS on your phone.
All right, I just learned another life lesson here. Another coming of age story. It's not really coming of age, it's just a life lesson. Mm-hmm. Don't ask Brandon for a funny story because he's going to give you something terribly horrible.
That wasn't horrible.
Where he almost died. That story was not funny, dude.
All right, well, shit. Give me, I'll think of something funny, you jackass.
Nah, dude, we're closing her out, man. We have been rambling.
I'll tell you, here's a funny story. I got a real funny.
Literally the hardest question.
Here's the one. Here's the real funny story. One time I was hanging out with my good buddy Roger, and we were hanging out, and he was having a little whiskey, and he had some friends over.
You're right. I peed my pants. It happened. I peed them, dude. I just went outside to pee, and instead of unzipping, I just peed my pants. I just peed all over myself. Now the world knows that I'm PP Roger.
He was very drunk.
Iglesias
he was
Roger.
Very drunk. We were in the garage playing some Super Smash Brothers on the Wii U.
It was splash damage, dude.
He swears to God it was splash damage.
I was drinking those minors' liquor.
here's what I know. I'm not saying it wasn't splash damage. I know that I was sitting there playing a game. We were all a little drunk. You walked past me in front of the TV, between me and the TV to go out the door. You came back maybe half a minute later, and when you walked in and sat down, I smelled piss. Mm-hmm. And you don't smell piss unless there's a significant amount of piss. And I looked at you, and I saw a streak going down one leg, and I was like, hey, man, did you piss yourself? That's what I know. These are the facts. Now, I don't know that you pissed yourself. Maybe you just pissed so much.
I was very intoxicated.
Now, that's a funny fucking story. Don't give me no shit. And you learned a life lesson there, which is don't piss yourself when Brandon's around because he will tell the whole fucking world on a goddamn podcast.
Well,
You're welcome.
You didn't get a chance to because I told everybody first that I peed my pants.
Well, that's fine.
I didn't pee my pants, damn it.
Yeah, you're denying it. Look at this asshole.
I didn't pee them, dude.
You peed your pants.
God damn it.
What's the thing we're watching, bud? It's like Legend of something?
Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Legends of the Fall?
No.
Legend of the Guardians, the Owls of Gahul?
No. It's Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Legacy of Kain?
Die Neue These.
There's no way that's how that's pronounced. There's no way you're saying that right.
I'm pretty sure that's how
it's Die News 3.
Yeah. I think it stands for the new thesis.
The new thesis.
The new thesis. Oh, it's like French or something, dude.
There's no way you're saying that right.
There's absolutely
no way you're saying that.
You can find it on Crunchyroll or Funimation. 12 episodes.
It's called.
So we're going to break it up into three.
Three groups of 4.
Three good buddies. Yeah, 4 episodes apiece. So next week, the first 4 episodes of The Legend of Galactic Heroes.
Is it? I thought it was Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Yes.
Okay, you still said it wrong.
Shut up. The Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Listen. He can't talk good, and he pisses himself.
There? I don't know.
Legend of the Galactic Heroes. I'm looking at it on my phone right now, on Crunchyroll, on Funimation, on Thing, on Verve.
You suck my nuts.
Legend of... I'm trying to think of one more. There's got to be one more Legend of something. Legend of Zelda. Ocarina of Time. It's Legend of the Galactic Hero, word that we don't know how to pronounce, and I'm not going to attempt to because I'm not a jackass.
All right. You're closing us out, dude. I brought us in.
All right. Well, let's start with the plugs. We got... thank you again, Allie, for the wonderful question that I did not give a very good answer to, but we love you. We love you so much. Please keep them coming, everybody. If you want to leave us a question, you can send us one to thegoodbuddiesanimepod@gmail.com. Not going to spell it out because I'm not Roger and I don't pee my pants. We also have the Facebook group, The Good Buddies Universe. You can join that. You can send us questions and comments. You can listen to us wherever fine podcasts are sold, even though we don't sell ours. It is free. That's on, you got your Podbay, your Podcast Addict, your Stitcher, Podbean, of course. Love my beans. We're not on Spotify because fuck them. That's why. Yeah, I said it. We also are on the Facebook, the YouTube. That is Rapid Kick Media. You might be listening to this right now, but here's the important thing. Wherever you're listening to this, be it iTunes, YouTube, wherever, you should be able to leave us a question and or comment and or rating, and we would implore you to do so, because if you leave us a question pretty much anywhere, we're going to find it and talk about it and maybe comment on it and whatnot. We also do have the Twitter. That is
TGB_AnimePod. And it's all lowercase.
And we also have the Tumblr page. That is thegoodbuddies.tumblr.com. I think that's it for the main plugs. I would, of course, like to give a shout out to our good buddies, Married with Seamonsters, a.k.a. the Mary Janes, for the use of our opening theme, Paperdoll.
Don't want to be on Paperdoll.
It rocks so hard and it rips so many dicks.
And you can download it for free on...
It's on marriedwithseamonsters.bandcamp.com. Yeah. It is completely free to download it there. They're also on Spotify, even though fuck Spotify. But you can get all the cooler stuff on the Bandcamp. That's where all the party's at. We also want to give a shout out to our good buddy Petty Theft. He is on Twitter and also SoundCloud under Petty Theft. That is 2 P's at the beginning, 2 T's at the end. Petty Theft. Really good shit. And I think that is it for this episode. So from all of us here at the Good Buddy Universe, I'm your good buddy Brandon.
I'm your good buddy Roger.
He pissed himself.
No!